After months of speculation, things have taken a shocking turn between the Niners and one of their star offensive players, and their relationship looks to be done. Now, all the attention shifts to how that relationship may end, what that means for other playmakers on this team, and what the front office is going to do to make changes to keep their team competitive. We're going to break that all down for you on this episode of Niners Digest. My name is Ethan Galbraith, and make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any Niners updates. We're going to give you everything we got, including what's going on with Brandon Ayuk. Of course, the Niners just got a huge win on Monday Night Football versus the Panthers, but a dark cloud has been looming over the franchise and the fan base since Friday, and it all starts here. Dianna Russini and Michael Silver broke the news on Friday that 15 months after signing a 4-year, $120 million extension, Brandon Ayuk and the 49ers appear headed toward a divorce. Now, this is all brought on because it was announced that Ayuk's 2026 contract guarantees were voided. But not this weekend, not on Friday, back in July. Head coach Kyle Shanahan broke that news when asked about it recently, and now that sent everybody into a media firestorm. Everybody's asking questions. Why were they voided in July? What has happened since the injury? And then people started to put pieces of the puzzle together. Nobody has really seen Brandon Ayuk in the last month and a half, after it was clear that he was rehabbing with the team and he was showing up for media. He was very present. And now nobody really sees him. People who cover the team and are there very often have said that they don't really see him very often. And that is just unfortunate, because it just seemed like the Niners were on the right track to bring Ayuk back. There were conversations about him coming back to this team and playing right around this time of the year, earlier in the season and before the season started. And then it became weird, vague. We'll see what happens from Niners coaching staff. And now it looks like he's not going to play at all. And Jay Glazer of Fox Sports said something very interesting, because he doesn't think it's over, but if he doesn't play, it will be over. He said, quote, "I think the answer is, look, if Brandon Ayuk tries to do what he needs to do to get back with the team, they're going to love to have him back. But if he continues to miss these things, not only do I not see him playing this year, his career in San Francisco is probably over." Jay Glazer's right on the spot here. If Brandon Ayuk doesn't play this season, his time in San Francisco is over. I think his time in San Francisco is over already. I don't anticipate him playing another down for the Niners. He accepted the contract, the guarantees being voided. He is not going to appeal it. It seems like he's just accepting it, and he wants to get out of San Francisco. The missing element that Glazer was talking about is there's been reports that Ayuk was missing team meetings, missing practices, which further add to the frustration that the Niners have had, which led to what Kyle Shanahan said was the first voided contract he's ever seen in his time in coaching. And that is just insane, because, again, it all seemed to just go downhill so fast. And the players themselves were caught off guard by this as well, because Ricky Pearsall was asked about this, and he goes, "I don't think no guys in this locker room want to get too involved with other people's business. Honestly, in life, we should do more of that, not be in other people's business." I fully agree with Ricky, and I think that his lack of comments on it is professional, of course, and I think that's showing respect to Ayuk, his teammates still. But I think it also shows that the players aren't really in the loop about what's going on either. Even if they wanted to be in the loop, they're not. Nobody is. And there's been a lot of opinions about how Ayuk is handling this. I have had an opinion. Other fans have had an opinion. But one of the most prominent opinions has been Richard Sherman, former 49er and Seahawk. He said, quote, "Sitting out puts your pride before your pocket. And if you put your pride before your pocket, that's something I cannot understand, because it doesn't help your family, it doesn't help you, and it doesn't help the point you're trying to prove." Richard Sherman is correct here. If Ayuk really wants to get out of San Francisco that bad and get a new deal somewhere else, you'd think he'd want to play to show his worth. He hasn't played football in over a year, and it's because he suffered a gruesome injury that some people question if he's going to ever be the same after. And yet, here he is, sitting out, and likely has played his last down in San Francisco, and will hit the market as a free agent and want another big contract, which there's no guarantee that he's going to ever reach the same levels that San Francisco gave him 15 months ago. But now the question shifts to, what are the Niners going to do? Because Brandon Ayuk was supposed to be their wide receiver one for the foreseeable future, and now that's out the window completely. And if you look at the rest of the roster right now, it's looking pretty rough in terms of the wide receiver room. Ricky Pearsall, Juwan Jennings, and Demarcus Robinson are all serviceable options, of course, but none of them have proven to be the true wide receiver one in replacement of Ayuk. Of course, all of them have missed significant time at different points. Kendrick Bourne, of course, is there. Sky Moore, who's really more there for special teams, kick and punt returns. Jacob Cowling's been on IR, Trent Taylor on IR, and Jordan Watkins, the rookie, we haven't seen much of. So the Niners have to make a move, and they need to make a move soon into the offseason. There's likely nothing coming now other than possibly an Ayuk release, but that will likely wait until after the season is done. But what do the Niners do to stay competitive? And my first idea is it starts with signing the man on the right of this photo, and that is Juwan Jennings. Juwan Jennings has been there through thick and thin for the last 4 years for the Niners. He's, when needed, been called upon and been that wide receiver one. If you look at his statistics in 2024 especially, he racked up nearly 1,000 yards on 77 catches with 6 touchdowns. He's been able to be fill-in wide receiver one, and the thing is you wouldn't be necessarily signing him to a longer-term contract to be wide receiver one to directly replace Ayuk's spot, but he's such a great, consistent guy to have on the team. They don't call him third and Juwan for nothing. Now, of course, Jennings has missed time this year too, and he had his own contract dispute this past offseason. But I think with the voided money that the Niners are getting back, it's north of $20 million. They can use some of that on Juwan Jennings, and I think that would be a great play because he's been consistent. He's shown loyalty to the team, and I think he's a great guy to keep around. And you don't need him to be the number one playmaker on an offense that includes Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle, but he can be that guy if you need him to. But of course, signing Jennings doesn't solve the Ayuk issue. And I don't know if there is a player hitting the free agency market in 2026 that the Niners can go and get that will directly solve the wide receiver one vacancy. But you can make it a team effort. You can have multiple wide receiver twos. Ricky Pearsall can also step into that wide receiver one role. He has shown a lot of promise. The Niners fans and organization is excited about what he can become. But I think that there's still another receiver that you can go out and get there. And that is a man from Green Bay named Romeo Doubs. Now, Romeo Doubs is a fourth-year man from the University of Nevada, Reno. He's been a very serviceable wide receiver, especially in the transition from Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love. And this year especially, he has been kind of a de facto number one wide receiver on an offense that, of course, has been inconsistent at times, but he himself has put up very solid statistics. If you look at his numbers here, he has 41 catches for 522 yards and 4 touchdowns this year. And even looking back at his other statistics, 2023, he had 8 scores. He's a very serviceable player, and I think that a contract to Romeo Doubs would be a huge plus bringing him into this team because, again, you don't need him to be a wide receiver one. If everything goes according to plan with what's left, Ricky Pearsall can become your new wide receiver one. If you bring back Juwan Jennings, he can be your wide receiver two. And even if you don't, Romeo Doubs can slide in and become wide receiver two. And if you keep Jennings, Doubs is a wide receiver three. It can be a team effort to replace the production that Ayuk had, which is no small task, of course. But when you look at how the Niners have moved in free agency recently compared to the players that will be on the market presumably in 2026, Romeo Doubs might be your best bet. And I don't think that's a bad bet. He has been serviceable, and I think that he would fit perfect with a team that doesn't need him to be the guy. And I don't think that is something that should be an issue. Of course, then you have questions about, well, then would you be overpaying for him if he's not going to be the guy? I don't think so, because Romeo Doubs, you need another strong receiver to come in for this receiver room that has really struggled, especially with injuries. And if there's injuries and Romeo Doubs is asked to be the number one wide receiver, just like Juwan Jennings, he can do that. He's proven that. My final thoughts are this. Brandon Ayuk was on top of the Niners world in 2023. He had a breakout season, and this photo especially comes from, of course, the 2024 NFC Championship game, where he had the circus catch that really cemented momentum in the Niners' comeback and the eventual win. And now here we are less than 2 years later, and he is likely done. He's likely played his last down for the San Francisco 49ers. The reality is Brandon Ayuk will get another contract somewhere else. Teams are in need of great receivers, and he is a great receiver. Of course, there's questions about his health, and he will likely not get the contract equal to what he got in San Francisco. There's a lot of disappointment in the Niners fan base. There's a lot of anger. But if Brandon Ayuk believes he's doing what he needs to do, that's best for him, so be it. But now the Niners have to cut ties and look forward, because the Niners championship window is still clearly open based on how well they've played despite all of the injuries. So they need to make a move as soon as Ayuk is out the door to keep that championship window open. Sign Juwan Jennings. Bring in a guy like Romeo Doubs. Keep the team structured, because you only have so much time left with Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, and you need to win now. It's turning into a win now situation, and with Ayuk out the door, a guy like Romeo Doubs, and bringing back Juwan Jennings, that can help that situation. So that we'll keep you updated, of course, with everything that's going on, if and when Ayuk eventually gets released, and who they would bring in as a replacement. But that's all the time we have for this video on Niners Digest. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Ethan Galbraith, and we will see you in the next video.